Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Speed Build Saturday. Today we're in San Myshuno replacing the Fountain View penthouse with a very much needed community garden that I imagine would be really good for just anybody that lives in the city. I tend to notice a lot of homeless Sims in San Myshuno, so I like to think of a community garden as somewhere where everybody can get a little bit of food and the community can come together and have a good time. I've been wanting to do a rooftop garden for a minute now, and I've really never done the community center lots so much. Like, I've literally never done them. So whenever I went to finish building this, I didn't realize that I had to basically copy and paste the entire build from community garden to marketplace to makerspace to the regular one, so that it looked basically the same the entire time. In the makerspace, I want to say, it's just a little bit different. I replace two of the flower arranging tables with a recycler and a fabricator. So this build will look basically the same no matter what sort of community space you have it as, because I really wanted a rooftop garden for San Myshuno for a long time, just because I thought it was fitting and I'd like to see more rooftop gardens in the US at least. I know that there are quite a few in like Japan and stuff like that, but not here. And I would just really like to see some more community gardens someday, because I know a lot of people struggle to get food. Anyway, I wanted this build to be a community garden in which your Sims can come and get food any time of the year. So I actually made these 4 separate little greenhouses, and each of them ends up being a different season of harvestables. So in one you'll have a bunch of different spring foods, and then summer and autumn and winter. And it was really interesting to actually go through a lot of the plants. I know I don't have all the plants. I tried to stay away from the occult ones because I know a lot of people avoid playing with the occults. So you've got all of your normal stuff like apples and tomatoes and potatoes, but you don't have like wolfsbane or valerian root or anything odd like that, just because I figured this would be more easily downloadable for everybody. And it ended up being pretty cute with such a limited pack budget anyway, so I'm really not too upset about it. In fact, this might be the most limited pack budget that I've built with so far on my YouTube channel. I believe there only ends up being 4 packs for this entire build. And I know that I use a bunch of base game. I use city living, seasons, outdoor retreat, and eco lifestyle. I actually spent like a really long time going over all the different plants and exactly which greenhouse I wanted them to go in, because like a couple of plants can grow in one or more seasons, like mushrooms, but in my opinion, mushrooms feel more like a fall food than a spring food. Another example is I think I have coconuts in the spring greenhouse because there just aren't any springtime fruit trees as far as I could find in the list that I was looking off of. However, in each of these greenhouses, you have an entire array of both fruits and vegetables and the flowers from the season as well, because, well, I know some of us like to cook with our grown ingredients, while some of us like to create beautiful bouquets with our grown ingredients. So I gave you the option to do either with this community garden. To be honest, this is going to be a chef's one-stop shop for all of their cooking needs. This is going to have every ingredient their little heart could ever desire. And then as you can see, the debug harvestables might not be as straightforward as you would like to see. There's like multiple different kinds of apples that come up if you search apple, but none of them are actually the apple that you can plant, which is really strange. It's actually all the way at the bottom of debug, like right before all of the like books, but after all the rocks and everything. It's very strange. And right about here is where I figured out that there were still different kinds of apples that I hadn't found in debug, so I tried those out and ta-da, they worked. And then I really wanted to do something interesting with the garden. I wanted to try to get the planters flush with the platforms, but apparently that's something that I probably need the tool mod to do, and I don't know, I just don't have the time to start messing around with that on top of all the stuff that I already do with my builds. But I decided to leave the platforms anyway because I really liked how they looked, and I was able to add just a little bit more color to each of the greenhouses with the platforms, so I decided to keep them in the end. And here I go about painting everything once before I decided that I didn't exactly like that swatch, so I decided to change it all after the fact. And then all of the decoration for the different rooms of the seasons kind of started with these funky little roofs because I realized eventually that I could make each of those roofs a little bit of a different color to symbolize each of the seasons, including the glass even. So all of them end up being just a little bit different, and I really like it a lot. And then even though each of the little greenhouses is different in the fact that they each grow a different seasonality of plants, they are all also very similar because everything in this build is mirrored to the best of my ability, aside from like the things that I really didn't feel like I needed 6 of, like there's no way you need 6 flower arranging tables for a community lot. But I really tried to make sure that this was a nice community lot for your Sims to get together at because, I mean, this is supposed to be a big community project, so I want it to look nice and for people to want to come here. And then I really think that this would be a good place to meet new Sims, including teenagers. I didn't add the teenage hangout trait just because I didn't want to add another pack to it just for a trait. And at this point, I've really embraced the idea of making each different seasonal greenhouse into a different kind of color scheme. I got the idea off of one of the holiday garlands, which I end up hanging around all of them in a different swatch, just so that you know exactly where you're going based on the outside. And I think it ends up looking really super cute at the end. And then I tried to make the layout of each of the seasonal greenhouses kind of to go around the wheel of the year. So whenever you first come up the elevator, you go into the spring greenhouse that's on your right, and then across the way you've got summer. Right next to summer you've got fall, and then across the way from fall you've got winter, and it just loops around like that for an entire year of delicious crops and beautiful flowers. And then here I decided there just wasn't quite enough contrast for all of these windows to the walls. It just wasn't quite dark and light enough for it to be exciting. And then I ended up changing a bunch of colors around just to keep with the really colorful sort of vibe. And I even rotate the color of the flowers around so that it's in front of their respective seasons. But with the lights all laid down, we've got a pretty magical glow at night, so I decided at this point to throw up the extra garlands around all of the different greenhouses on the inside at the very least, because I couldn't hang them out on the very outside because it's the very edge of the apartment and it wouldn't let me, and it's dumb and bleh. And here I just decided to double down on the different colors for all the seasons, and I wanted to do orange for the fall, but there just wasn't a very good orange swatch, so I went with red. But it all turns out looking pretty nice in the end anyway, and you can definitely tell what kind of harvestables you're gonna get depending on where you go to. But with all of this recoloring being said and done, that is just about it for the building process. So we are going to hop into the game and do the tour in just a second, and I will see you guys then. And here we are in game at what happens to be a very happening spot for the city of San Myshuno. Everybody seems to want to be here, including Judith Ward of all people. We've got all these nice picnic tables for your Sims to sit down at and chat, and then we've got one public bathroom for everybody to share. We have the spring right behind us, and then we're actually going to go in there first. And you've got all sorts of stuff in here. You've got like daisies and tulips and bluebells and all sorts of fun stuff. And then if we head back out and go straight across, we will go past our one selling table and then go into the summertime plants, which includes like bell peppers and tomatoes and plantains and stuff. And then if we wrap around the corner, we have plenty of bug boxes and bee houses. And then in the fall, we've got a bunch of apple trees along with grapes and I want to say huckleberries or elderberries. And then if we go across the way, we've got our final little greenhouse, which is the winter, which we've got stuff in here like crocus and winter rose and pomegranates and pears. So you can really get anything you want if you come to this lot. You can really kind of do up your own gardens at your lots on your own if you come for a visit here. But that is just about everything, you guys. So you'll be able to find this on the gallery as the Four Seasons Public Garden. However, that is going to do it for the day. So leave a like if you liked it. Comment down below with something you'd like to see me build in the future. Subscribe if you're new. And then as always, guys, have a good day. I'll see you later.